Was Catherine. And as I said, I'm sure that many of you have had either children or grandchildren in her school, because she was, if you're new, fairly new to this community, she was the head of the college laboratory kindergarten for 34 years. So that explains why so many of us know her well. Plus, all those years, I'm sure she taught Sunday school here at College Church too. Let's go back a few years, back to Archbold, where Catherine began school as a first grader in a one-room country school. But she said that wasn't for long, that the schools consolidated before long. And so she was in part of the Archbold Public Schools, and that's where she graduated from high school. And then she came on to Goshen College to study teacher education. And after that, she went back to Archbold for 3 years and taught school there. And after that, she decided to go to the big city, and that's Chicago. And she taught at a preschool that was part of the Bethel Mennonite Church program. And the Bethel Mennonite Church was and probably still is in the very center of the African American, and one African American community anyway, in Chicago. After that, she got a call to come to Goshen College, and that was the beginning of the lab kindergarten, where she taught, as I said, for many, many years. And when you think about how many children's lives she touched in those years, I did a few calculations, and I'd say it was over 800 at least. Yeah, so Barb's saying more than that. Well, and I'm not talking about college church or Sunday school. I'm talking about the public school education now. So Catherine, well, I don't know if Catherine, I hope she didn't forget this. I'm not sure I'm not even sure she's here today. Ah, there she, well, is that Catherine under that? Well, please come and tell us some more stories about your life. One thing I forgot to mention, and among all her attributes, did you know that she is the author of this book, Growing Toward Peace? And I think we might hear some more stories about that today as well. So Catherine, come and share some of your life stories with us.
And she is my first cousin.
Oh, my goodness. How fun.
I knew you were.
Well, I was hoeing weeds out in the cornfield after a week at Little Eden Camp, but I wasn't alone. I sensed a vibrant presence of God with "follow me" as the message. But what did that mean? Follow me. Shortly after that, Richard Bauman and Leland Burkhart, solicitors from Goshen College, sitting around the dining room table, presented the dire need for school teachers. My parents had 8th grade education, but they heard the message loud and clear and urged me to consider college. Well, by the culture of the day for girls in our Mennonite church community, that would the way to go was to enroll in a commercial high school curriculum to work as a secretary and then get married and live happily ever after. Well, By God's grace, I have lived happily, mostly, although I haven't married. The first day I set foot at Goshen College campus, I enrolled as a first-year student. Fortunately, my roommate in Kaufman Hall had previously attended Winter Bible School at Goshen College. So she directed me to Culp Hall with the dining hall in the basement and pointed out the aesthetically designed library and helped me to distinguish between the difference of the ad building and the science building. And then there was the barn, literally located where the Humboldt Center now stands as the gymnasium with bleachers made of bales of straw. After 2 years and a summer of college study, I taught first grade for 3 years in Archbold, Ohio. And one of the students, Phyllis Schrock, Scott Hostetler's mother-in-law, now lives on 9th Street here in Goshen. After teaching first grade in Archbold, Ohio, in my home community for 3 years, I returned to college to complete my senior year. I hope to live in the newly constructed West Lawn dormitory. Instead, I learned the more mature girls were going to live off campus. I wasn't a bit flattered. But what a wonderful opportunity to develop a world view. Because I lived in Kenwood House on block north of on 8th Street. And other students living there came from France and Germany and Switzerland and the local Amish and conservative Mennonite communities. My parents provided summer housing in Ohio for international students who found employment in Archbold. Eventually, my Ugandan brother married my roommate. Creative writing was one of the final elective courses I took. I won recognition for submissions to Beams of Light and Words of Cheer. That led to writing primary Sunday school curriculum materials for Herald Press for several years. But teaching was my preference. I taught second and third grades in Clinton Community School east of Goshen, where I became acquainted with Amish families. In fact, several years later, on my way to celebrate my brother's birthday party in Archbold, I stopped at one of the Amish homes and they were butchering. They gave me a pig's tail. What a unique birthday gift that was for my brother. I was born on his 12th birthday. Now, the summer of 1952, I joined the Mennonite and affiliated college forerunner of SST, a study service term abroad. We toured war-torn European countries and then joined service projects. A friend and I headed to the northern coast of Germany near the wall. Now, what was the wall called? Pardon? The one you're running down north and south by Germany. The what? Maybe the Berlin Wall, yeah. So I was right there at the northern end of Germany and there by the Berlin Wall. After a few weeks in the Lubeck PAX service unit, we went down to the Mennonite World Conference in Switzerland, riding in a pickup truck equipped with wonderful wooden benches. Following the conference, I headed to England to help teach in the first summer Bible school offered there. The memorable experience there was the playground in London, where located in a bomb crater. So there was a zip line from the one end of one scalloped out across that bomb crater. It was exciting. These war encounters changed my attitude and my attention to peace building beyond the drafting of young men. I participated in the CMC Peace Committee with Pauline and John Fisher, Betty and J.B. Shank, and others. The Peace Office is now that storage room down the hall by the water fountain and the west end of the women's restroom. I recall Virginia Kreider leading prayer at the peace vigils downtown at the corner of Lincoln and Main. These continue on Wednesday noons from 12 to 12:30. The banner with the message, by the way, where is he? Yes, the message that he had and still that we use is stop the violence, bridges, not bombs, compassion, not hate, and peace, not fear. We invite you to come and join us any Wednesday noon from 12 to 12:30 at the corner of, and some of you have joined us, good, and have brought posters of your own. I attempted to include peace teaching in the kindergarten classroom. During an accreditation visit, a validator overheard a conversation between two children who settled an argument with, "I don't like what you did, but I still like you." In the late 50s, I contacted the Mennonite Board of Missions, hoping for a placement involving working with children. I was fortunately sent to Bethel Mennonite Community Church in Chicago, where 10,000 people lived in 4 square blocks. From our 7-story apartment, we could imagine children like chocolate pudding pouring from those 12-story buildings to attend Medill School across the street from us in our 7-story building. Bethel Mennonite Church was in use 6 days a week. Folding chairs were put in place for Sunday morning worship or other events. The other days of the week were occupied by Bethel Nursery School for 3 to 5-year-olds. Memories of those days include sitting at the piano playing from the Yellow Songbook and Donnie declaring God, and Donnie declaring, "Play it again, here, play it again." I also recall Barry sitting in in the home living center with a doll. And Barry declared, God loves peanut butter. That was part of his prayer. And also there was Betty Brown, who pulled a radish out of the 4 by 5 foot garden, probably the biggest garden in the area, and exclaimed, golly, how did that get there? I had much to learn. Starting some seeds in a cup and then talking about roots growing prompted a child to pull up the young plant to see the roots. Well, next time, seeds were planted in a clear plastic cup so we could see the roots growing. In 1952, when the invitation came from Goshen College to join the education department and teach the laboratory kindergarten, and by the way, it was in session 3 years before that, I accepted the opportunity to help in the preparation of teachers in Bethels around the world. An example of a previous student is that Grace and Hugo are presently living with their family on a garage heap in Jakarta, Indonesia. There they opened a house of hope, offering experiences for young children to begin school. They request prayer for their endeavors, prayer support. I claimed that I had the best job on campus because there was opportunity to meet community people through the kindergarten. After completing 34 years, retirement came in 1996. Summarizing teaching experiences in public schools in Ohio and Indiana includes grades 1, 2, and 3, and 3 years in Chicago inner city day nursery. Other summer teaching experiences were with young children with young children who had been in Ohio near Archbold and in an economically deprived area west of Toledo, with migrant children in mid-New York State, with Ozark Mountain children in Arkansas, and Pacific Coast youth in a summer camp experience. Between 68 and 71, I visited early childhood centers in Mexico, Jamaica, Puerto Rico, Brazil, Finland, Poland, Russia, and Germany. Those are some of my opportunities as a teacher, but I want to also pay respect to those who have served through motherhood. In Anabaptist World, in the letter to the editor, someone mentioned that as we train someone else in the ways of God, we are doing the work as unto him, which makes it holy. And so I, at this point, would like to hear from one of our members who has been faithfully carrying that torch in the home. So Luetta, where are you? Come up here and tell us one of the important things you've been doing.
Yep.
One of the important things that we've been involved with is hospitality. And I want to introduce you to my friend, Marlene. I first became aware of Marlene back in June 8th of 2022. We were it was a Wednesday evening, and it was time for prayer choir. We meet on Wednesday evenings at 5 o'clock. And the door opened, and Madeline brought in this woman. And she said that this woman would like us to pray for her. And so we gathered around her. It happened to be Marlene. We gathered around her and prayed for her. And then she left. But my heart was kind of stirred because she was at that point homeless. And I thought, my goodness, you know, we have a spare bedroom at our house, and we have a basement where there's room. We could invite her to live with us. And so we communicated that with Madeline. And Madeline had just met her too. She didn't know anything about Marlene. And anyway, by the next evening, Marlene and Stephanie came to our home to live with us. And it was the beginning of a real special friendship with her and Samantha. And so I've prepared a few questions to ask her, and she's been thinking about this. And my first question is, why were you and Samantha homeless?
In this moment, we had a very bad situation. I remember I went to the park and cry and pray God at the same time.
We can't hear back.
Oh, oh, thank you.
Okay.
Sammy and me had a bad situation in this moment, and we don't have a house, and we need to go for the central house, the woman with kids. And I remember that I went to the park and cry a lot and pray God and say, what the situation happened to me? If I feel I'm good person. I'm good person. And in this moment, one woman coming to me and she say, I can help you. And I only say, I don't speak English. And she using the translator talking with me about my friends Wilmary and the pastor Madeline. And I'm very angry with God in this moment. You not love me. You forget me. And the pastor Madeline called me and met with me. We talking, and she say, "I feel do you need somebody pray for you? And we have some group here. Do you want to go?" And I say, "Okay. What more can happen in my life? It's always bad. Maybe I need reconciliation with God." Maybe not all this situation is for God. Maybe I need learning something. And I go to the room and I meet Aluera, but I don't remember her face in this moment because I'm cry a lot. And okay, then I go for my house that I live with Sammy, and the pastor Madeline called me the next day. Oh, there's somebody called for you in the church. She wanted you live with them for 1 month. And you, oh my God, this is true. And I have 3 days, I no sleep, I no eat nothing because I say, what happened? What I need to do? What happened with my daughter? And I met with Loera and with Wilden, and I speak only Spanish. They speak only English. And And this happened in this moment.
Okay, so if we couldn't speak each other's languages, how did we communicate?
Both learning and translated by phone. And Sammy the sometime help.
Right, Samantha was really bilingual, and she had been in school and had learned English, and so she was kind of a go-between for us. Okay. Okay, then we attempted to introduce you to other people that attended CMC. One was Rodolfo, who was, and Liz, who he was also from Venezuela, which is Marlene's home country. And then Wilmary, I think that Wilmary was one of the first persons that met,
Yeah.
was maybe the first person from this church that met Marlene. So have you found our church a welcoming community? Have you have you experienced friendship and welcome in our church?
Yes, yes, a lot. In the first moment, I felt nervous because I don't speak any English. Well, then you looking for Rodolfo and Liz first. For me, feel like comfortable that somebody speaks Spanish with me. And I met with Wilmary and I started do some friends here. And now I know a lot person.
Okay, after living in us for two months, then she found an apartment where she could live. And by that time we had developed a close relationship. And so how do you feel about our relationship?
Oh, I feel they have a lot look. I feel they have a lot look. And I feel that God bless me for have a Wilden Alwara in my life, and now a lot people with me.
Okay, after you moved away from us, you and Caleb met over the internet somehow, and after you had visited each other and maybe gone out to eat and so forth, then one time you brought him to our house to introduce him to us, and we really appreciated that. So, what has happened in your life since you met Caleb?
My life changed a lot, a lot. Every day, as I thank you, God, for my family. I have my new family, and I feel that God showed me that I can deserve be happy again. That every time we have opportunity with the new people, with love, with my family, with you. When we are like immigration, we have all our family in other country, and we stay only here. Now I feel that I have my family here. I have a Wilden, have a Luera, I have a Kalo, his family, all uh, has good behavior with me and with love, very friendly, and I feel comfortable. I feel like very different. And this Marlene that I met with you on the first time, they feel, oh, it's only Sammy and me. Now I feel, oh, I have family here too. And I'm happy for that. And I appreciate that. I appreciate your love a lot.
And we're so happy to have her here too.
So we have heard how families are an important part of reaching out to those new folks in our community. I have here also a very important mission statement from a business called Miller Poultry. The mission statement reads like this: "We strive to be a community of dedicated, faithful people, producing naturally grown poultry in an ethical and efficient manner for customers who appreciate and enjoy wholesome, great tasting food." And we are delighted to have someone who knows quite a bit about this business. So Galen, let us hear more.
Where did the mic get to? So Catherine, I have to confess, these folks all came to listen to you. Didn't you? Y'all came to listen to her. I'm really tempted just to ask you some questions rather than me talk. Let's have a vote. How many would like to ask her questions instead of hearing me talk? Then I'll keep my remarks really, really short. Is this on? Yeah.
Give me a second.
Okay. It's 1, 2. Anyway, what Catherine called and asked for was how do you walk the walk? Again, I think the walk needs to be about her today. So I'm going to end with a couple questions for her to kind of transition. But I think what she wanted to know was how do we as people of faith and college church members, is this too loud or is this about right? How do we as college church members walk the walk? And so this is kind of how we walk. We try to walk the walk, and we probably don't do a very good job of it, and we probably don't instill these values like we should. But these values, as you can see, you can imagine that you might hear some of these from the pulpit. Maybe people like Phil even would talk about values like this. And so these are the 4 that we picked. And this is how we try to show our faith in work. But the first one is to be humble. And that is to live with the golden rule. Unfortunately, a lot of employees nowadays, a lot of people nowadays don't know what the golden rule is. You have to tell them that. But that's to treat others as you would like to be treated. To live with kindness and empathy for others. And also, since we work with a lot of Amish folks, it's kind of that simple community fits right in as well. And Phil's given a few sermons about materialism and living with simplicity. In fact, I've spent my whole life at this church. I was born here, raised here. 73 years later, I know I'm a mere youngster in this group, but I still hear this, and it has impacted me over these 70 years. Second is to be hungry. Of course, that goes with food, but that means that you work hard, you show up in the morning early, you work late sometimes, you fill orders, you take care of customers. To be wholesome is to produce real food, but more than that, to be of sound mind and body, and to have good moral well-being. And to be, lastly, humane, and that's both to create a safe environment for our team and our community, and also to have respect for animals and people and nature. So again, when Catherine called and said, how do you walk the walk? I'm really full of angst because it feels like it should all be about Catherine. But yesterday, I'll just tell you a story. I was in Kidron, Ohio. We just bought Gerber Poultry in Kidron, Ohio earlier this year. About 500 or 600 employees out there, 130 growers, farm families, I think. And so I was out there and I was talking to an Amish guy that's 50% owner of the hardware store in town. And he was asking the story, how do you include faith in your business life or in your life? And he said, most people that find success or find significant success, however you want to define that, but in a material way, let's say, or even at the head of a large organization, be it a university or a hospital or a school, typically change. People change when they find success. And he was adamant about that. He says, almost everybody I've met changes when they find success. The person that's president of Harvard, does that person change when they moved from Bethel University to Harvard? Do they change? He was sure they do. And I said, well, you know, I'm sure that there have been changes in my life, but when you've grown up and spent your entire life at one church with a whole bunch of educated folks that are in the membership, and you've heard from the pulpit your entire life the social justice gospel stuff, it kind of helps keep you sane. I'll take that back. I'm not sure sane's the right word. Maybe responsible. It helps to keep you responsible. And I said, part of it is there are a lot of people in the community that do far greater things than I. So I'm going to end here. This is a person over here that's done far greater things than I. I'm going to hand this back to Catherine and say, regardless of what we may try to do, you've touched more lives in so many really substantial ways than many of us here in the room. So one of the questions I'd ask you is, how did you keep going? Were there ever times where you faltered, where you weren't quite sure about the mission, where you weren't quite sure that you were getting through to the kids, or what your life was doing didn't quite measure up to where you wanted to be? How did you keep going?
I just put one foot in front of the other. You know, one of the things that I had noticed early when I visited Yoder down Main Street, and noticed that in the hallway in your building, you had windows so that your employees could see what was going on in the world as they walked down the hall. What a simple idea, but profound. And also the way in which your chickens aren't cooped up in these 2x3 cages, but they're outdoors. I mean, it's that last line that you had, that the respect for animals and people and et cetera. But I saw it in practice in your business. And I'm sure, I think even as the chickens go to the, what do you call that, when they're about to be slaughtered, and it's in darkness, so they don't even have to watch what's happening to the chicken in front of them. Anyway, so let's see, what time is it? We have time for a couple of questions. Who's first? Oh, and if you don't want to be first, because that's impolite, let's have somebody else go.
Who wants to be second?
Something.
And Catherine had all four of our children, and she always made a home visit before kindergarten began. So we have a picture of Karen when she came to see Karen, which is our youngest. And not only Karen is sitting there, but Jane and Neil, and I'm not sure about Lee. So, you know, they have wonderful memories of being in kindergarten.
Those home visits were very important because I was just joining the family at that point and needed to get a feel for how they functioned and how I could step in and join them.
Catherine, you've lived through your own childhood and teen years and adult years, and now you're one of us as an older person. What is it that you especially like about children?
Their creativity, their openness, their the love exchange that's there very easily. There was a baby in here, wasn't there? That they leave and you know, exchanging the smiles and oh yes. And the way in which relationships are so fundamental and to respect any age, even when you're 94.
Well, and following that up, you used children as a resource too. You brought in lots of guest speakers and so on, but you really did work from the children's experience and try to involve children with each other. And one example I have is when our son Matthew was in kindergarten, and we had a big problem with him continuing to suck his thumb. And do you remember how you helped us solve that problem? Tell us.
Well, no, I want to hear your version. I know my version.
Well, I always have to wonder whether my version is still accurate. But what I remember is you invited him to give a talk to the other kindergartens about sucking thumbs and how you can get over that. And if I remember correctly, there were a few children in that class that got over that after his little speech. Is that, now what do you remember?
Oh, and the conclusion was it's as hard to stop smoking as it is to stop sucking your thumb. You just have to be, it is. Right.
June?
We have a family story with Catherine. Our daughter Mandy was born in November, so she was too late for the cutoff. She was going to be 5 in November, and you had to be 5 to be in kindergarten. And we really needed for her to be in kindergarten. So John and I thought about this and thought, why don't we invite Catherine to go out to lunch with us after church? And she could get to know Mandy a little bit, and maybe, because she had told us she sometimes takes older students, fourth graders. Anyway, it was on a very hot August day. We went out to the car after worship with Catherine. We got in the car, and Catherine rolled down her window. And Mandy said, "Don't roll it down. It's hot as hell in here, but we have air conditioning." Now, Catherine is a very gracious, forgiving, healing person. And she took Mandy in, I'm sure, because she knew Mandy needed care.
And I don't remember, except you're telling it. Okay.
Say something, but I can't top that. So.
Any other questions or comments? Yes.
Catherine, talk about how you related to the other education professors and how you worked with student teachers that observed you. You not only taught, but you were observed as a teacher. Mary Royer, Catherine Royer, Perry Miller. What was your role in the department? And how did you write that book in honor of Mary Royer? Can you remember?
Well, John, I need your help. I had a wonderful group of fellow profs. And anyway, we supported each other. And John held us together. Anything you want to say?
Well, okay. You were very integral to our department, and you always were involved in everything we did, even that went beyond your kindergarten. And so that was really important.
And that was because you were the head of the department.
Well, you involved the department, and there was no way that we weren't aware of what went on in your kindergarten and in your classes for children or teachers of young children.
Well, you could go into the observation room and check.
I did. Yeah, you were a very integral part of the department, and I appreciate it.
Yeah, I was fortunate. Yeah.
If any of you weren't sure about that comment, the lab kindergarten at that time had a room next to it with a one-way glass between. So the children didn't see that there's somebody in there observing, but student teachers could go in and observe and watch the class, and the parent.
Catherine, you haven't really retired. You bring the kids into the women's group on Thursdays and share the children with us. Thank you.
Well, they're here 5 days a week, and I think we're unaware of our relationships possibilities. And I think we And all those families bring their children here 5 days a week. And how much do we know about them? How do we build relationships with them? Yeah.
And
I remember reading the book, Everything I Need to Know I Learned in Kindergarten.
Amen.
And that's an awesome responsibility. How did you relate to that concept?
Yes, it's a lifelong learning experience. Yeah. And those first years are so important. They're so foundational. Yeah. And we all survived. Yeah.
maybe that's a good place to end. Thank you so much, Catherine, for sharing with us. Thank you all for coming. We so appreciate the contributions you've made over the years.